It is a well-known fact that a retarded child can be helped. With special classes, trained help, through vocational rehabilitation. But it is not a well-known fact that today there are 2 million mentally retarded employed in private industry. 2 million employed, but another million could be employed and are not. That's why we're selling one guy named Larry. This is Larry, on his way to a job interview. Larry wants to be a warehouse man. We'll sell him, or I hope so, just the way we sold Willie Dow, maintenance man, $1.75 an hour. Ralph Smiley, hospital attendant, $125 a month with room and board. Jeanette Sakharov, power sewing machine operator, $1.35 an hour. Mark Cahill, landscaper's assistant, $2.25 an hour. James Bonifield, restaurant utility man, $1 an hour. We found them all jobs. When I say we, I mean all of us who work in every state of the Union in vocational rehabilitation. Many of us specialists in finding jobs for persons who are mentally retarded. 2 million at work, but there are another million who could hold a job, but who can't land one. Why? Many managements don't understand what mental retardation really is. Don't know.
I was one who didn't know. I just didn't understand. My name, by the way, is Gary Stein, co-owner and manager of Specific Plating Company here in Los Angeles. We hire anywhere between 42 and 50 employees. Approximately 5 to 7 of these are mentally retarded. I hired my first mentally retarded employee as a favor to a friend of mine. He had a son with brain damage. We gave him a chance. We had many fears, particularly insofar as the mixing with the female employees are concerned. This is what I learned. As far as the girls are concerned, there is no more trouble than with normal employees. And believe me, there is trouble with normal employees. Special supervision? As a matter of fact, I have found that if you leave a mentally retarded person alone, they're anxious to show you what they can do. And believe me, they can do. That boy over there started at 50 cents an hour. He's now getting over scale, as are all the other mentally retarded employees. Believe me, they are worth it. This isn't kindness. It isn't charity. It's business, good business. I want to keep them. Incidentally, we work around a lot of dangerous chemicals here. The accident rate with the mentally retarded employees is nil. With other employees, about 4 or 5 a year. Did you notice that shake of the head that I don't know? Mentally retarded employees have a special value. They know what they don't know. Most normal people don't. They bluff. They don't ask. This means mistakes. Mistakes cost money, and that I don't like.
I know what you mean, but here at the Judy Company we have another good reason for employing the mentally retarded. Many of our jobs are quite repetitious, and it is difficult to hire and keep people to do these jobs. Mel, I think the sign is all ready. Will you please take it downstairs for painting? We began employing persons who are mentally retarded some years ago. At first, we didn't know what to expect, but we soon found out that if you get the right person for the right job, he does as well as anyone else. That's why when people ask about how many retarded persons we employ, we say none. A person who does his job isn't retarded, as far as we're concerned. Take Sharon and Gertrude here. Incidentally, these two can switch jobs. They have to, because once we build up an inventory on one item, they go on to another. Naturally, routines change. Here's something I would like you to try. The girls are sorting 40 different pieces of puzzles to be painted 6 different colors. They sort from memory. There isn't a mark on any one of these pieces. 240 possible combinations from memory. 240 chances to make a mistake, and they don't. If they did, I wouldn't have them on the job. Of course, not all retarded employees can memorize, adapt, and change like this. But then many employers have repetitious jobs that must be filled, like the manager of the 620 Club right here in Minneapolis. This is Eddie. Eddie washes dishes, nothing else, and he's happy. Eddie had this job for 4 years. Before Eddie, no dishwasher lasted for more than 2 months, except one who was a man over 65, and he lasted a year. Eddie is the right man for the right job.
As working in job placement for the mentally retarded, I'm required to find the right person for the right job, and it all begins in a workshop. When a boy or girl, a man or woman comes to us, some from homes, some from institutions, we interview them. We test them before we begin their vocational rehabilitation. At first, they are given simple, repetitive work. Always the basic things are stressed. Good grooming, punctuality, responsibility. We even teach them how to handle their money. We teach our trainees all the good work habits that an employer expects of an employee. If they progress, they are given more complicated work. We chart their speed, their manual dexterity, their adaptability, how many different jobs they can do. Can they handle numbers? But most importantly, how much pride do they take in their work? However, I guess it's much the same in other parts of the country.
Pretty much. Our patterns here in Miami are very similar. The only difference is the difference in local needs. Employers often ask, how much time does this training take? It varies with each person. Some pick up skills faster than others. That's why each gets individual attention. The shortest training time is perhaps, well, 2 months. Often it's a year, even more. Once in a while, it's shorter. For instance, Barbara here learned to make out our payroll in 1 month. Barbara is popular because everyone who is in training here receives wages. All of our work is subcontract work. The workshop is paid and we pay the workers.
Payday is a big day in Los Angeles, too. But now let me make this point. Placement people who work in this area realize that not all their trainees will be able to work in private industry. Not by a long shot. Some will remain in the workshop, earning a small salary, being useful, happy. And have no fear. We will never, unfortunately, be able to offer many of these men and women to you as possible employees.
But we'll try to sell you the others, whether it's here in Phoenix or somewhere else in the nation. Here at Goodwill Industries, we attempt to train our boys to become good painters.
Shoe repairmen, do electrical repair work. We find many good laundry workers. I might say, to be honest, not all states or towns can offer such complete and special training. All our graduates work right alongside regular employees. Look, which girl is our trainee? It's hard to tell, but this is the one. Over here at the soda counter is another workshop graduate. Her job description was to serve customers, but she was capable of learning a new skill. When a cashier went on vacation, she took over. No mistakes. And this boy, he not only earns his own living, but supports his mother. He does his job, does it well, just as she does, and as she does, as 2 million other mentally retarded persons do. As with any normal person, not all of our graduates can be doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, but they are people that doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs need to support them. Give them time to think. A talent God has not given equally to us all. This training we give pays off in other ways too. Here in Phoenix, in the last year, 145 of our workshop graduates have been hired by 74 different employers. Their hourly wage has ranged from 75 cents to $1.55 an hour. Together they earned $200,000, and over the same period their savings totaled $8,000. No wonder we had to have a class to teach them how to make out their income tax. 10 of our graduates took their families off relief. They're taxpayers, not tax burdens. As the National Association for Retarded Children says, the mentally retarded can be helped.
But they are not always helped. I know that I had a great deal to learn about the mentally retarded before I became involved in helping to co-sponsor the meat cutting project here. By the way, my name is Gerald Greenfield, and I'm president of the Meat Cutters Union in Miami, Florida. Prior to working with the mentally retarded here, my only knowledge of these children was through my daughter, who was a counselor at a camp for children who were retarded. I saw some of the pictures she had taken. It wasn't good. So when I was asked to train retarded boys to become butchers, all I could see were those kids with the big heads, and I said no. Well, they wouldn't take no for an answer, and they brought me down to the workshop, and there I learned something. I learned about the spread of the mentally retarded, or the range, or whatever it's called. I was just like you. The word retarded person meant idiot. I didn't know, but I learned. So I talked it over, and our union said, sure, we'd help. And this school here at the Air Force Base is a result. We picked 25 boys who we thought might turn into good journeyman butchers. And what we've learned, even though we are only halfway through our training program, is a good proof of that spread. As of now, we think 10 of these boys are going to make it. They'll become journeyman butchers. 10 or 12 won't. But they'll be able to get jobs as meat handlers, freezer men, meat luggers, sales clerks, and shippers. All the jobs that I can never keep filled in this short labor market. Jobs that are important and that pay well. The other 3 or 4, I'm sorry to say, won't make it at all. But they'll make it somewhere, even if they have to go back to the workshop. I've been asked often, why do this? My answer is, why not? We need butchers. We need people to fill supplementary jobs. And let's face it, in this country, everybody's got a right to a job. If he can fill that job.
They can. They are. Take a look at the jobs the graduates of workshops are holding down. They are helping themselves. They are helping others. They can help you. And yet, when all these workers were suggested for jobs, these questions were asked.
Will they get along with others? I mean my other employees.
Don't they need constant watching or supervision?
Will they really turn out a day's work, or at least try?
Can you depend on them? I mean, will they stick to their jobs?
Good questions. But when you ask them about your regular employees, don't you get answers something like this?
Well, everyone gets along pretty well. Of course, once in a while there's trouble.
That answer won't change even if you hire a retarded person.
If I had to watch somebody all the time, I wouldn't hire him. Of course, there are 2 or 3 that I have to prod now and then.
Once in a while, you have to prod the mentally retarded employee, too.
A day's work? Everybody does a day's work, at least most of the time.
The mentally retarded employees have their good and bad days also.
You know, it's funny. There are certain jobs I just can't get people to stick to. I'm always looking for replacements.
Here is where we, who try and find jobs for our workshop graduates, can give a different, a better answer. A mentally retarded person, as any person, who finds that he can contribute, is happy, works hard. But a retarded person, by his or her very handicap, sticks longer. The enthusiasm, the loyalty, call it what you will, lasts, especially at repetitive jobs. Remember Eddie, 4 years at a job that until he took over had to be refilled every 2 months, except once when a man over 65 held it for about a year? Eddie is not the exception which proves the rule. Actually, what is mental retardation? As far as you, an employer, is concerned, a mentally retarded person is a human being with a low IQ, a human being who hasn't been able to do too well with the books, and that covers a lot of us. But books aren't performance, and that's what you pay for. Actually, all the retarded boys and girls, men and women you've seen holding jobs have IQs that range from 1/3 to about 3/4 of normal intelligence. 1/3 to 3/4. And I've had employers who have looked at the tests my clients have had to take, not one employer but many, and they've said, if I gave that test to all my employees, I think half of them would be classed as retarded. Then why aren't more mentally retarded persons employed? It's because in many employers' minds, a retarded person wears a label, an incorrect one, always because of lack of knowledge. Did it ever occur to you what this label does to a human being who wears it? Look at these hands. They belong to a worker whose employer said they are invaluable. And yet, when we asked the owner of these hands if we could photograph her at work, she said, no. When asked the why of the no, she explained. We recorded her reasons.
Well, I don't want my picture taken because so many people will think the wrong thing of me. You know, like in my neighborhood. One time I went over to visit my neighbor. She's moved from there now. I went over there and I started, you know, talking, and she says, you know what? She says, you're kind of nutty, but she says, but I don't know. I haven't figured out in what way. Boy, that hurt. So I just went away from there. It made me feel like I want to go in a hole and hide. I wish people would give us a chance.
Give us a chance? Why not? You should if you want to. But to me, as a person who is trained to help you with your labor problem, we don't sell help the mentally retarded. We sell, do you need a job filled? May we see the job description? What's required exactly? Then if we feel we have the person to do the job, not any job, but the job, we say, I think we have somebody for you. I'd like you to meet him, to interview him. His name is Larry. No sales pitch is a good sales pitch without the name of the place where you can buy the product or at least get more information if you're interested. Here are the places. Your state or local unit of the National Association for Retarded Children. Your state or local vocational rehabilitation agency. Your state or local employment service, office or Department of Public Welfare, or your public school system.